Hello and welcome back to another mock draft Monday. This will be the final mock draft Monday as I'll be out of town next week. But I am so excited for the Dallas Cowboys to make some major moves. Now, yesterday, crazy trade happened. The Bengals and the Giants trade the pick 10 for Dexter Lawrence. Thankfully, the Cowboys won't have to deal with Dexter Lawrence, and I think their interior is built to dismantle the Giants now without having to worry about Dexter. They don't pick anymore. The Bengals don't pick anymore, and I think the Bengals would have taken a defender. I think the Giants would go one offensive player, one defensive player. But we're going to now go into the final 7-round mock draft. I've kind of talked about the guys that I like a lot. At the end of the video, I'll talk about some of the guys that are like my guys as they go. But this is going to be the last draft. Pro Football Sports Network big board is going to be there, so there's the bias there. And I think we'll see probably some of what might happen. So at pick 12, if Caleb Downs is here, slam dunk of a pick. I mean, I think Jeremiah Love going at 7 makes sense. Jordan Tyson at 8 if Jordan Tyson doesn't go to the Giants. Now, I'd be surprised if Carnell Tate went as early as 4, but I wouldn't. I can see that happening. Francis Mauigoa, great pick there for the Browns. Mansour Lane at 9 makes sense. Mekhi Lemon, I don't know if Lemon would. I mean, I think Lemon is the third best receiver by a pretty wide margin, so that makes sense as well. Ruben Bain goes at 11, probably would have been a great pick. Now at 12, absolute slam dunk. Caleb Downs. If Caleb Downs can make it to that pick, the Cowboys are in business because he can alter that defense. We need somebody that can be multiple. We need somebody that can oppose. Now Jalen Thompson. Locke is great depth. Hooker is past his prime. But the Cowboys want a nickel that can tackle, can come up and hit, can play in coverage, and IQ is going to be important. Sounds like we have a home run there. Now this is interesting, right? Because at pick 20, Jermod McCoy and Dylan Thieneman are both here. McCoy would have been, these are decent trades, but no. McCoy would have been the best corner in this draft had he not been injured. The Cowboys have a need at secondary, and I think Thieneman is a want, not a need. And with Jalen Thompson, as I said, if you have Caleb Downs, you don't need both. You want both, and that would be a great young core, but I think we go with Jermod McCoy because if he is not injured, Jermod McCoy and Trevon Ruvell, two of the best cornerbacks in their drafts, both falling due to injury, but both awesome at the sport. I think that'd be great for Dallas. Okay, next up at pick 92. So the Cowboys go 2 players in the secondary to start it off. I think Malik Muhammad would be great if they couldn't find anything. If they weren't able to get Jermod McCoy. I'm high on Eli Stowers as like a big flex type player. He's not a traditional tight end in my mind. He's just a fat receiver essentially. Max Clare is cool. But a guy I like Bud Clark a lot, but again, we got Caleb Downs. A guy I see potential in, could definitely use some NFL training because he's kind of inconsistent, but denied Dennis Sutton. Absolute freaking athlete. I think he could be a potential Pro Bowl type player with high production. Now, we need linebackers. At 112 is a great spot to get one. I like how rangy he is. I like how much of a playmaker he is. Now, I think Harold Perkins Jr., he's not a linebacker to me. He has to be going forward. I want a guy that can go forward and back. I'm going to take Kyle Lewis, who, if you can't get Jacob Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis is the next best thing. And I think he really opens up that defense as well. Same with York. But I pick 152. D-line depth is important, and I think between the 2 defenders that we see with Landon Robinson out of Navy, I watched him absolutely terrorize Army for years. Zane Durant's kind of a project. Barham, extremely inconsistent. I like Keyshawn Elliott, just not right here. And then for the all players, when you look at the edges, I'm a big fan of Max Lewin, but I think you get him at 177. If you don't get him, I like Tucker. So for that reason, we're going to go with Landon Robinson. he could be a great 3, but you also need depth. And I think losing Osa means you need to figure out what your depth is going to be like, and you need to have a rotation between Kenny Clark and Quinn Williams as well to really open that up. So like I said, at edge, Maxwell went, but Tucker's still here. Great 3-4 edge, and kind of gives us what we need in terms of the rotation aspect. Let's bolster that D-line. Let's rebuild it. We don't want to get and bring back some of the vets like Clowney. So what do? You replace them in the draft. Next up, I don't think it's crazy to go Keyshawn Elliott here. In fact, that's what we're going to do. Dalen Everett would also be great. But I think you need playmakers in your linebacking core. And this is not very Cowboys-like, going straight defense, but that's what you need to do. Just because I'm not sure if Dallas realizes how quickly the window could close, but the window's open. So you want to maximize Dak's window. And then we'll go one offensive player here, just, because it's the Cowboys thing to do, and go Cade Klubnik at pick 218. Now, if this was a Cowboys draft, I would cry. I would cry because you get Caleb Downs, an absolute rangy safety who can play in the box. He can play over the top. You wouldn't take a safety this high if he couldn't do both. And you see it with Kyle Hamilton of people overthinking it. You see it with even players like Devin Witherspoon who play in the nickel, and you don't think it's an important role, and then you see how big it is whenever he's carrying an NFL defense. But then Jermod McCoy, who could be the best defensive player in this draft, going at 20 because of injury, but it's been 14 months. I think he's fine. Deny Dennis Sutton, who could absolutely alter this pass rush game on day one. You have good run defenders, time to go get pass rush. You get Kyle Lewis, who can go forward and back, which is important. Great coverage linebacker, former safety, so you can see and how fluid he is. Landon Robinson and Tucker for the D-line depth and rotation can get after the passer, can play in a 3-4. And then Keyshawn Elliott, who can, I think in my mind, he's better than Shamar James on day one. Intelligent, has the IQ, what you need. And then Cade Klubnik, like I said, the Dak window is closing. What quarterback reminds me of Dak? Cade Klubnik, and I've talked about it, but he has the same sort of issues whenever it comes to progression, and I could see him having a similar career if he puts in the work to work on his footwork and how he processes the game. So that's the first draft. Like I said, we always do this or that. This is going to be the second draft. Same setup. We're actually going to restart that because I put it on normal. Same setup. It's if we had the same value, we'll take the same picks, but I'm going to try and make it different. So in this one, right, you are in a position where it's kind of the doomsday a little bit. You miss out on Mansour Lane, who goes super early at 6. You miss out on Caleb Downs, miss out on Sonny Styles and Ruben Bain. Do you trade back, right? Because if you trade back, you get 19 and 51. You could potentially get your linebacker of the future, 24 and 39. I want Francis Mauigoa because you could fix the Terrence Steele problem, but you just gave Terrence Steele a contract. I like Jordan Tyson. I like Jermod McCoy, but I feel like this value-wise is too good because you have the chance to pair a great defensive player or two great defensive players and then a linebacker at 39. So we're going to take this trade. We're going to take this trade just because of the value. Absolute steal there. This is also great value. We're not going to do it, though, out of, reality. So who did we miss out on? We missed out on Mauigoa, which makes sense. The Browns go and grab him. Tyson, Jermod McCoy, Keem Ezra, Thieneman. We missed out on some talent, but there's still a lot here that could make the team better tomorrow. At pick 20, I think we go with a player who has super high praise and can play inside and outside potentially. He's a pass rushing D tackle. He reminds me a lot of Quinn Williams, and he had an off year because of how bad the Clemson defense was, but he is an absolute playmaker. We're going to go with Peter Woods, proven talent. This trade, maybe Buffalo's targeting Omar Cooper. Exactly. So Buffalo targets Omar Cooper Jr. We're fine with that trade back. not who we're looking for, although he would be great. So at pick 26, you have 26 and 39 now. You go and get Peter Woods. I think Caden Proctor could be a great project tackle if that's the route you want to go. But I think you want to get a corner. And we're going to take a player who I'd be happy with taking at 20 if the Cowboys stayed, Avion Terrell. He can play up, he can play down, he can do a lot of things, and he's multiple, and that's super helpful. I think Chris Johnson's also somebody that could have been taken there. I think Chris Johnson might be better than Terrell, but I'm not sure Chris Johnson would be there. Honestly, I kind of forgot about him in the moment, so my mistake. But we see Jacob Rodriguez go, we see Anthony Hill go. Don't want to miss out on a linebacker of the future. We're going to take C.J. Allen at 39. And this draft is working out really well in terms of getting impact players who are just going to be good in the NFL, I think, just based on their technique and how they are around the ball. Next at pick 91, we have 91 and 92. We're going to go and get another playmaker in the secondary. Actually, because I like Jalen Kilgore, right? But I also like Zakee Wheatley a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to double up where the edges left. I like height. Height would be a great pick. This is about making things different. So we're going to go with height for the first pick. And then our second pick, we are going to go with Zakee Wheatley. Again, taking the value talent, and they just happen to be really good football players. So that's what we're going to do there. At pick 112, we've gone all defense so far. I don't know if the Cowboys will be able to resist the urges to be different. CJ Allen at 39, but we need somebody that can play. If Overshown is gone, what do? We get Harold Perkins Jr., who was an absolute stud and a first-round lock before the injuries, and you don't really know what his position can be, which isn't necessarily positive, but it's not a negative. You just have to figure out a way to get talent on the field. Next, at 152, I think we go the project route, and we're going to take Barham. And if we can teach him a little bit of the consistency, he has the traits. He is a massive dude. He's a big human, 6'3", 240, but he just looks massive. Now at pick 177, I'm a big fan of VJ Payne, but I think we need a playmaker. Turpin has had his moments, but he's been kind of lackluster recently. So we're going to go with Eli Heidenreich, who can play special teams, but he can also replace Turpin if Turpin wants a contract. Just the reality of it is Heidenreich is an athlete. I've watched him kill Army, and I know that for everything I've seen, he can catch the ball, he can run, he can move, and you want that flexibility. And then at 218, if he's here, we'll take him with Caden Curry. But if Caden Curry's not here, there's a couple guys. So Caden Curry is not here. Kamara would be a great pick. We're going to take Sawyer Robertson. We're going to keep him in state, coming out of Baylor. Another project quarterback. But let me know down below if your team stick and pick or team trade back. This is with trades, and I think these trades help the Cowboys get more depth, which they need, but they also get actual starters as well. And they could help the rotation, which you need in a defense. I've had to explain to people, but it is more than the 11 you put on the field to start. Any good defensive line will have rotation, and you need that rotation built up. But anyway, that's all for me. This is the second draft. Let me know which one you prefer down below and who you want the Cowboys to draft. I'm super excited. Hopefully we don't do anything crazy, but you never know. People weren't high on Micah, people weren't high on Booker, and yet both are awesome. So the draft is exciting, but it's also we don't know what we don't know. Anyway, that's all for me. Have a good rest of your day, and I hope the Cowboys come out with a better team after the draft. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Have a good one.